The trade war has just evolved from tariffs on goods and services to the beginning of a war on technology between the United States and China. Keep watching as we take a closer look in at the international markets, as well as detailing what happened over the weekend and how it could possibly impact the United States and China.
The U.S. markets were down for the second week in a row last week, with the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones both down about 0.75%, while the NASDAQ was down almost 1.5%, and the Russell 2000 down almost 2.5%. Now, even with these negative returns, all four of these major U.S. indexes are still up double digits for the year. Foreign and emerging markets were also negative last week, with foreign markets down almost 1%, while emerging markets were down over 4%. And now emerging markets are only positive 3% for the year. We want to look at two separate charts today. And the first one we're looking at is of the international markets, which consists of a combination the emerging and developed markets that I just touched on during the returns. We wanted to look at these charts today to see how the international markets are performing this year relative to the U.S. markets. And the international markets are actually severely lagging the U.S. markets in performance, and that could be because of all of the trade war stuff going on. If you're looking at the chart at the blue line, the international markets have recently failed at a very important level on this chart over the past few weeks, and the selling has just continued. So because of all these trade wars, this just adds to concern to a risk-off type of environment in international markets that we've been seeing over the past few weeks. The second chart that we're looking at here is of the semiconductor index. And semiconductors are a large piece of the NASDAQ in the technology sector, and also one of the major components of cell phones. Now, Matt's going to touch a little bit more on this story in his news part, but we wanted to go over this chart because if there is a technology war between the United States and China, then this could be one of the sectors of the U.S. market that could severely be impacted. Semiconductors has been one of the leading sectors of the NASDAQ this year, and the NASDAQ has been the leading index for the U.S. markets also for the year. So if you're looking at the chart, the semiconductors earlier this year broke out above the blue line and made new all-time highs. But with renewed fears about the trade war over the past few weeks, the semiconductors have continued to sell off down closer to coming back to that blue line. Now, as I'm shooting this video on Monday morning, and with renewed fears now on the trade war and the potential of a technology war between the U.S. and China, the semiconductors have continued to sell off now below that blue line. And if these fears on a technology war continue between the two countries, this could spell bad news for the semiconductors, the technology sector, and the U.S. markets.
The tech war kicked off Friday afternoon as President Trump released an order banning all Huawei products in the United States. As soon as that information came out, the market started selling off sharply. Now first, you may be asking, what the heck is Huawei? Well, Huawei is a tech giant out of China. So think Apple without the iTunes store. So they produce electronic products, and they're the #2 provider of Android smartphones around the world, just behind Samsung. Now, what does this ban mean? Well, essentially, Huawei products are not going to be able to be used in the United States. And US companies that supplied Huawei with components to help build their electronics are no longer allowed to do so. Now, on Monday, some of the companies that supply Huawei with products, such as Intel, Qualcomm, Broadcom, and others, all said that they were going to comply with the ban. So the big hit to Huawei here is in regards to their computers and laptops, as they were fully run on Intel processors. Also on Monday, Google released a statement immediately removing all new Huawei smartphones from their operating system. They also said that old Huawei phones will not receive any new updates to their operating system. And the big impact to Huawei smartphones is that they will no longer have access to the Google Play Store and all of the apps that you may have downloaded from there. So everybody that has a Huawei phone is going to lose access to their Gmail, their Google Maps, Uber, Lyft, just to name a few. Now, this won't directly impact Huawei smartphones inside of China. The big impact is outside of China, such as Huawei smartphones that are in India, Europe, and the United States. Now, Huawei's only comment so far here Monday morning is that they were preparing for this type of ban, and they stockpiled 3 months worth of supplies to continue producing their products. So it's going to be very interesting to see how China responds to this new type of attack.
We'll also be paying close attention to see how the U.S. markets react, especially the NASDAQ and the semiconductors.
Thanks for watching, and if you're on Facebook, please like and share our video, and if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel.